Falls. And to you too, Hugo, welcome back home. It's good to see the true son of the soil coming back to serve.
Thank you very much. Distinguished delegates, this week convenes at a time when our region is pursuing not only energy access that is reliable, affordable, climate smart, and investment ready, because energy is not merely a sector, it is a platform for industrialization, jobs, competitiveness, and inclusive growth. Our theme captures that ambition, driving a regional economic growth, basically in energy and energy efficiency.
Distinguished guest, we will now proceed to formally open the 2026 Sadc Sustainable Energy Week. With that, I request you all to stand as we sing the anthems of Zimbabwe, Sadc, and the African Union. Shall we stand? Thank you. We may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to observe the following protocols as we begin this important week. His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Honorable Vice President General Retired, Dr. Constantino Gouveia Dominic Nyikadzino Chiwenga, the Honorable Vice President Colonel Retired Campbell Mohadi, the Honorable Richard Moyo, Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Matabeleland North Province, the Honorable Josienzo Ramahopa, Minister of Electricity and Energy of the Republic of South Africa and Chairperson of the Sadc Committee of Ministers of Energy, the Honorable July Moyo, Minister of Energy and Power Development of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and our host minister. Honorable Ministers responsible for energy from SADC member states here present.
Your Excellency, Mr. Elias Mahosi, Executive Secretary of SADC, Your Excellencies, Heads of Regional Economic Communities and International Organizations, Your Excellencies, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Dr. Kevin Kariuki, Vice President for Power, Energy, Climate and Green Growth, African Development Bank, heads of states, institutions, and parastatals here present, senior government officials and delegates from SADC member states, private sector developers and investors, technology and equipment suppliers, members of the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize our development partners, industry leaders, private sector investors, financial, technical experts, the academia, civil society, and innovators. Your participation is essential to converting policy into projects and projects into impact. Not forgetting our recognizing institutional partners who made this event to be what it is today. We recognize the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority, the Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority, the National Oil Infrastructure Company of Zimbabwe, NOIC, the Zambezi River Authority, Petrotrade Private Limited, Rural Electrification Fund, the World Bank, recognizing Global Energy Transformation Program, that is Get Transform, the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Foundation, Soul Train, the Austrian Development Agency, which is the operational unit of International Partnerships, Austria, recognizing the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, the Global Network of Regional Sustainable Energy Centers, the African Development Bank, Southern African Power Pool, the Kafue Gorge Regional Training Center, the Regional Electricity Regulators Association, RERA, the SADC Finance Resource Center, the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality, as well as the National University of Science and Technology, Zimbabwe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a ceremonial gathering. It is a working week. Now, across the program, you will engage on financing, bankable project pipelines and modernization, regional power trade, de-risking investment, energy efficiency, and the practical mechanisms required to move from ambition to implementation. Our objective, ladies and gentlemen, is clear: to strengthen regional cooperation and unlock partnerships that accelerate clean energy and energy efficiency at scale in ways that drive economic growth. Okay, so a few housekeeping issues before we commence in earnest. Please be kind enough to either switch off your mobile phones or to put them on silent during proceedings. Where interpretation is provided, please ensure you have your receiver and the correct channel selected. We will keep transitions crisp and request speakers to observe the allocated times. and we only have a couple of speakers this morning before we branch out into the various sessions. Please ensure you register your participation at the desks outside. Distinguished guests, we now proceed to our first address. It is my honor to invite to the podium the host minister and the Honorable Minister of Energy and Power Development of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable July Moyo. Honorable Minister, you are leading Zimbabwe's national energy agenda at a pivotal time, with a focus on strengthening energy security, accelerating investment, and positioning energy as a driver of industrialization and inclusive growth. Your leadership, sir, is central to Zimbabwe's contribution to the regional energy transition and to the partnerships we're here to advance this week. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Honorable July Moyo, Minister of Energy and Power Development.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to salute His Royal Highness, the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy of the Kingdom of Eswatini. And I want to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Energy, my brother from Zambia. We are Siamese twins. We are separated and enjoined by this river called the Zambezi, Honorable Chikote. My sister, the Honorable Simbane Gavi, the Deputy Minister of Energy and Power Development, permanent secretaries who are here, senior government officials. Your Excellencies, I know that we have ambassadors accredited to Zimbabwe who are already in this room, and most importantly, the drivers of this conference, the Executive Secretary of SACRI, and Lukula, who is in our midst, and those who have arrived representing our organization, Sadc, the senior officials from Sadc who have joined us before the Executive Secretary Makosi comes later this week, the drivers in our countries of the private sector, participants who are here, the multinational organizations, our own African Development Bank, the World Bank, and other multinational financiers who are in our rooms. The protocol has been extensively covered by the speakers who were before me. I want to welcome you to Zimbabwe on behalf of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, and I want to welcome you as the Ministry of Energy and Power Development of Zimbabwe. I say we are in a very interesting place. This is the border with Zambia, but we call ours the Victoria Falls, and in Zambia they call it Mswatunya, the smoke that thunders. While welcoming you here, I hope you don't miss the opportunity to visit the Victoria Falls. And if you cross over in Zambia, you will be visiting another falls, not this one. So, but because we promote both of these together, you are welcome everywhere. This Sadc Sustainable Week is being held at an opportune time. This second edition of the conference He has a title, quote, Driving Regional Economic Growth Through Clean Energy and Energy Efficiency. The conference is an initiative which was conceived by our ministers of energy and accepted by our Sadc Secretariat as an annual event. And it started last year in Botswana. And for those who were in Botswana, it was an exciting starting of a journey that we are going to do and work together. This year, my ministry, together with the Sadc Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, SACRI, worked with various government ministries in Zimbabwe, departments, parastatals, and sponsors, among others, to host this conference in Zimbabwe. And of course, with the guidance of Sadc Secretariat, this is what has taken us to today. And sorry, I did not recognize our Minister of Mines responsible for renewable energy, Engineer Makwiranzo, who has just joined us. Please welcome. It is going to be a packed week for all of us, filled with many resourceful activities geared towards catalyzing regional economic growth through energy initiatives. The conference shall feature plenary sessions, sponsored sessions, bilateral meetings, field visits, recreational visits, as well as dinners and networking. Take this as part of the conference. There will be few drinks in order to make sure that you open up in your discussions. I would like to urge you to participate in all the activities freely, and I know I will not need to invite you to the cultural dinner, which we will have, because we think gastronomy has become a centerpiece of what we do here in Zimbabwe, and is ably sponsored by our First Lady, who has passion for the traditional foods of not just Zimbabwe, of all of us in the region and in the African country as well. And she has been given accolades for hosting gastronomy sessions worldwide. I also assure you that we have provided medical services here during the week to cater for those who would try to exceed their limits as far as gastronomy eating is concerned. So the doctors will be available. Of course, they will also help you in other health-related issues. We will also have the opportunity this week to pass the baton to Eswatini. And that's why His Royal Highness was one of the first ministers to come, because he doesn't want to leave anything to chance. When you know that you are being started by a Royal Highness about what you have done, you have to try to be perfect so that we can pass on the baton to Eswatini, to His Royal Highness Prince Dlamini, who will lead us next year. And he has come with a team led by his secretary, permanent secretary, and we think that those of us from Zimbabwe and SACRI and Sadc, we owe it to hand over to Eswatini, having learned what we learned in Botswana last year. We had sessions with the sponsors, with the Austrians, with the Salt Train, and more especially with Sadc Secretariat, SACRI, so that we could learn how to organize this. This is the spirit of Sadc. This is the spirit that we want to have in the region. I had the privilege of welcoming them yesterday at the Victoria Falls International Airport, the delegation from Botswana, from Eswatini. They came earlier because of what I have just said. And when we thanked the president of Botswana, President Duma Boko, for starting this journey, we were fully aware that they had put an incredible performance last year. And I don't know whether my deputy ministers, the permanent secretary and their team will be able to match. But you will be the judge. Let me also extend a hearty welcome to the Sadc team, led by the acting director for infrastructure, as well as the executive secretary for SACRI, Mr. Kodakwashe Ntukula, who I have already mentioned. I also recognize the presence of other dignitaries who have already arrived. My job this morning is to welcome you. And it is not my intention to make a speech. I'm just talking about welcoming you. Let me recognize the presence of ministers responsible for energy in various countries, ambassadors, country diplomats, sponsors, academia, the media, and other sectors of the economy. I understand we have sponsors from Europe, and I've mentioned some of them, and across the Sadc region. I also want to welcome Zimbabwean sponsors, and they are here in large numbers, for their generosity. Your presence here is testament to the importance of this regional conference. As a region, we are grappling with the issue of renewable energy expansion in terms of our countries. We strongly believe in regional integration and the role that both the public and the private sector play in all of it. You are therefore encouraged to network as much as possible through bilateral meetings, and we have made arrangements so that you can have these bilateral meetings. We will not be having closed-door sessions in most of what we will be doing. We want to open up, because even the media has something to offer to us in terms of renewable energy and energy efficiency. So they will be welcome in your sessions. We'll promote synergies amongst all attendees this year. We'll also have a ministerial segment where, as a country, and each country will be able to present their energy compact, those who have energy compacts. But for those who don't have energy compacts, they have programs which they are engaged in and who want to learn from each other. This is our blueprint in the energy sector, which will help us achieve the national vision in the case of Zimbabwe in terms of Vision 2030, and is captured in our NDS2, which was launched last year by our president. Our energy compact is both for hydro, big and small, as well as thermal, but more importantly, it introduces the issues of renewable energy and energy efficiency. We also acknowledge the important role played by conventional thermal power plants and traditional hydropower plants within the energy mix. Our actions and plans as a region must recognize these energy sources as well as energy efficiency efforts. Energy efficiency plays an important role in ensuring adequate supply to productive users of energy. Our machinery in industry, in mining, and across the entire economy must be energy efficient if we are going to realize benefit from the available energy resources in our countries. Distinguished guests, I would like to recognize that we have not been collecting enough of statistics. And when I attended the AU on energy efficiency, the gap in terms of our statistics is yearning. And here in Sadc, with our Southern African power pool, with our regulators, with the energy ministers, and all of us who meet almost on an annual basis, we have no reason not to have good statistics. that speak very eloquently to what we are doing and where we can project to go. Realizing also the importance of regulation, we need to strengthen our regulatory system through synchronizing laws, tariffs, and application of the system. This will strengthen us as Sadc and will make us a regional bloc as we are superintended by the Southern African Power Pool. A strengthened bloc is easily identified as a safe hub for local and international investments opportunities. During this conference, we will network to connect on all professional levels. On Friday, we will have the chance to visit some of the sustainable energy sites around Victoria Falls, where we will get to see biogas digesters in use in a community and solar thermal technologies at one of our hotels in Victoria Falls. There will be an opportunity to visit the rainforests and enjoy one of the world's natural wonders. And you have been sponsored, some of you. So please don't let us down. You must see this. For those who have been sponsored. For those who have not been sponsors, please sponsor yourselves. Our forests and urban areas here are corridors of wildlife. And for those who tried to move yesterday, the elephants are marauding. I don't know. When you see them like this and they have children, they are running away from lions. So be careful, because the lions will also follow. Some of you will see impala walking around here. They are running away from lions. So let's all be careful at night. During the day, let's be safe. Don't go in the water because the lions of the rivers are there, the crocodiles. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zimbabwe, and in particular to Victoria Falls, a symbol of our region's shared natural heritage. We have a collective responsibility to pursue sustainable development. I am confident that the deliberations of the Sadc Sustainable Energy Week will contribute meaningfully to strengthening clean energy and energy efficiency as central pillars of our regional economic expansion and economic transformation. I thank you, Siyabonga, Twalumba. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our host minister, the Honorable Minister of Energy and Power Development, Zimbabwe, Honorable July Moyo. Thank you so much, sir, for your opening remarks. We may be seated. The Honorable has said welcome to you all. He has said benvido in, the Mozambicans say benvido. The Tswana say o amuhalesile. Is that right? Yeah. Takulandirani. Is that right? Yes, wamugelegile in Zimbabwe, and in Shona we say mauya. Welcome to you all. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for highlighting that all is set for each and every one of us, and we are here to ensure the week is worth your while, and it's a fulfilling as well as a safe stay. Zimbabwe has put it in place, and Zimbabwe is ready to make it a lovely experience with a fully packed program, whether sponsored or unsponsored. It's also fully packed with excursions and live animals too. He has highlighted that this week is all about business as well as with snippets of fun. We are here to have conversations that will ensure their synergies, their collaborations as we ensure energy security in the region. Because when one bulb flickers in Angola, the whole region should be concerned, and we all should have our bulbs flickering across the region. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our host minister once again. Distinguished guest, our next speaker represents a key regional institution at the center of accelerating clean energy and energy efficiency across our member states. He is the one person that has brought us together. Under his leadership, this center, the SACRI, continues to champion practical, implementable solutions that move the region from commitments to delivery through enabling policy support, regional coordination, technical collaboration, and the promotion of investment-ready initiatives in the renewable energy and energy efficiency spaces. Ladies and gentlemen, can you help me put your hands together as we welcome the Executive Director of SACRI, Mr. Kudakwashe Ndlukula. Thank you.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Ms. Lindu Enyoni, or the Co-Director of Ceremonies. Honorable July Moyo, Minister of Energy and Power Development of Zimbabwe, His Royal Highness Prince Dlamini, Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Minister Chikoze, Minister of Energy from the Republic of Zambia, Deputy Minister of Energy, Honorable Simbane Gavi, ambassadors, heads of delegation, all senior government officials, partners, sponsors, dear esteemed delegates, members of the media, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. My job is not to welcome you because you've already been welcomed by Honorable Minister, but mine is just to thank you for gracing this occasion. It's a pride to my team. We have put all this effort together to make sure that you are welcomed, that you enjoy and make this a memorable event. I thank also colleagues from the Sadc Secretariat. We have helped us and coordinated us and guided us accordingly. So this event, the 2026 Sadc Sustainable Energy Week, Honorable July Moyo has already elaborated well enough that this is the second event, the first one having been held in Botswana last year. And the Honorable Minister has highlighted the key issues that we have here. I think the key moment is the Ministerial high-level session, which is the official opening, which is going to take place on Wednesday. But before Wednesday, there are quite a series of events that will be taking place. We are going to have business-to-business meetings, largely in Gwai Room and other rooms available. I'm sure all of you have seen when you came through, there's an exhibition tent outside. We thank our partners, our sponsors, and other entities that have joined us, and they are going to be displaying, or they're already displaying, some of their activities. So please feel free to join and visit the exhibition areas. And the minister has already alluded to the National Energy Compacts. This is the first time you've heard countries have developed their energy compacts with the support of Mission 300, under Mission 300 with the support of the World Bank and the African Development Bank. So it will be an opportunity to hear from the countries as they unpack the energy compacts and also highlight to us the progress that they are making in the implementation of these national energy compacts. To me, one of the most interesting things is that we need to recognize our achievements. Let's celebrate them while we're alive. We don't need to die and then people then talk about us. So in honor of this, we have a session on an award ceremony for our top and outstanding achievers in terms of regional projects. There are 4 categories that have been put together from energy efficiency, which is not talked much about, but we are happy that it's one of the categories that has been put forward. We also have outstanding private players like IPPs. We also have those innovative projects that are doing a lot to uplift the communities. Again, it's one of the awards. And also, without money, nothing moves. So we are also recognizing those that have put in financial packages to help the projects to move forward. So, as you are aware now, that we are gathered here for the welcome ceremony by the Honorable Minister. This is Kalulu room. We are going to, after this, we're going to break out into sessions. So the first session, which is session 1, in fact, we have a total of 16 sessions over the 5 days. So today, the first session is going to be a session, it's a breakout session which they are going to run in parallel. So we've got session 1A, which is the 9th Southern African Solar Thermal Training and Demonstration Initiative, SOLTRAIN. SOLTRAIN has been a partner of SACRI for years, and this is their 9th conference. We are proud to be associated with SOLTRAIN, and we are happy that they've seen it fit that their annual conferences are held jointly with the Sadc Sustainable Energy Week. So SOLTRAIN conference with a number of activities which are going to take place the whole day is going to take place in Kalala room. And then parallel to this, we're going to have some sessions that are going to deal with issues around scaling and integrating clean cooking. We are also going to continue with issues around enabling environment. This is sponsored by Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. And then we break for lunch. And after lunch, SOLTRAIN will still continue with a number of activities still in this room. And then we go into the other parallel session. We're going to have wind energy development. And this wind energy development has got some esteemed local and international speakers to unpack, the nascent industry in the region. So far in the region, there are just a couple of countries that have made significant progress in developing their wind potential. So we want to see how we can accelerate the development and deployment of this technology. Again, we will then close the sessions with one session being sponsored by Gate Transform. And this session is going to look at redefining power sovereignty, looking at how countries can cooperate in an era where we're increasing renewable energy. And the minister has already said that there will be a closing session with a welcome dinner. So I'll not elaborate on that. Tomorrow then we continue with the sessions. So again, parallel sessions going to continue. We are going to look at energy efficiency in Kalala, and in the other room, Kalundu, we're going to look at issues around infrastructure financing for the energy secure region. And as I said earlier on, we need finance. So it will be that session will be unpacking what kind of models of financing are available, which we can tap into. And then, so there will be a session on ELA, the energy efficiency for livelihood improvements in Africa. And then parallel to that, we're going to have another session on PPPs, public-private partnership, and see how we can have this model or this framework of PPPs to unlock finance, especially on critical issues around transmission and, of course, other projects. And then we'll continue with another session on powering communities for productive use. So again, as a sign that we're not leaving anyone behind. So we're all working together. We're also going to have captive power. There's a lot that is happening. Industries are also taking leadership. We know our sector has opened up. So we've got players that are taking initiatives to develop the energy sector. Some are putting solar panels, not only on their rooftops, but even large-scale infrastructure. Others are capturing the excess energy or waste energy and converting it and reusing it in an energy efficient way. So we're going to hear more about it later on, that is tomorrow. A critical issue, women in the energy sector. We need more women in the energy sector to drive this sector. So there's a special session that has been set aside to look at not only women, but also the youth. The youth always claim that they're being left behind. I think the time for the youth is now, not tomorrow. So we want the youth to take us through and lead this energy transition. So we've got a session on empowering gender, youth, and the energy transition. And parallel to that, we are going to have a session. I think all of you have heard about critical minerals, green hydrogen, critical minerals. How can we add value into the resources that we have? Someone was arguing that there's now a second scramble for Africa for the mineral resources that we have. This time, let's use these minerals to the benefit of our citizens. So there's a session, again, I say it's a critical session because we want to see how we can tap into these minerals resources that are critical, that we should not only just export them as raw. We have seen countries that have put in measures now to ensure that there's value addition to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a session that will be helping us to understand what strategies the countries are coming up with, what initiatives they're coming up with to develop the critical minerals, add value into them, green hydrogen issues, electric vehicles, as well as industrialization. So that is for that is for Tuesday. So on Wednesday, as I said, we have now the official opening, which will be graced by His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa. And then here we're going to have also our partners going to be speaking there in these sessions. After the official opening ceremony, then we're going to have a ministerial session. Ladies and gentlemen, where have you ever seen an occasion where ministers from all the member states are gathered together and they are available to you so that you can hear from them what initiatives they are taking in their countries? So there's a ministerial session that is going to take place in the afternoon where you're going to see the ministers elaborating the initiatives that they're taking, the strategies that they are putting in place to increase energy investment in their countries. After that, then we break out with a cultural dinner that the minister has spoken eloquently about. That will cap the day. Then on Thursday, Honorable Minister Julaimo spoke about the energy compacts. Yes, and he said not all countries have energy compacts, others have different strategies. So we're going to hear about these strategies and the national energy compacts from the member states. Here we're going to have 3 breakout sessions. So we have Kalundu, as well as the tent outside. So that's where we're going to have one of the breakout sessions. And then we close the Sadc Sustainable Energy Week with some remarks, and as the Honorable Minister has mentioned, handing over the next Sustainable Energy Week to the Kingdom of Eswatini. So that will keep, let's say, the official proceedings for the week, but the Minister said definitely on Friday, the exciting events where we're going to tour some sites, off-grid sites, one with biogas, clean cooking that we're pushing for, and then another one for energy efficiency and renewable energy. And of course, there's my favorite, golf. I think I'll be able to learn how to tee on that day. And the minister said, if you did not bring your clubs, we're also hiring the clubs here. So we look forward to seeing you at the golf course on Friday. On the cultural dinner on Wednesday, the awards that I mentioned about. So the award ceremony is going to take place during the cultural dinner on Wednesday. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude by saying, welcome again. sorry, not welcome, but thank you for gracing this occasion. Director of Ceremonies, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndlukula. A round of applause for giving us detail by detail, session by session, each day on what the Sustainable Energy Week promises to give us. And I trust we all have planned and will be partaking in all the activities that have been lined up for us. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not forget, we want to acknowledge our sponsors. I acknowledged institutional partners. Now I would want to acknowledge our sponsors that have come through for the Sustainable Energy Week. Old Mutual, we have GIZ Namibia, we have Inspired, JA Solar Technology, Canona Power Company, Dinson Iron and Steel Company, we have the Intensive Energy User Group, the IEUG, Varun Beverages Limited, Zimbabwe, RJ Corporation Limited, Ming Chang, Sino Africa. We have Tendo, the University of Zimbabwe, Cell Insurance, Zamproc, as well as the Institute of African Knowledge, INSTAC. A round of applause to our sponsors for coming through for us. We have come to where we then take this time to break away into our 2 sessions that will be commencing. We have session 1A, the Soul Train Conference. It's actually a conference that will be running right here in Kalala. And we have the session on scaling up and integration of clean cooking in national energy access. This session will be happening downstairs in the Kalundu room. And at this point, I will allow those who will be leaving to the Kalundu room to take leave. So that we then quickly get on to our sessions as per the program. Apologies before we stand. We have a quick announcement. We have a grey Honda. It's a fit version. ADH 3856. You are blocking traffic. You're parked in the driveway. Could you quickly attend to that? Our security is requesting for your cooperation. Thank you. ADH 3856. It's a grey Honda fit version. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will allow you to take leave if you will be joining the session in the Kalundu room. We will give ourselves 7 minutes to settle down. Thank you.
So you said.
Thank you. Once again, a very good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends from all over the world. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the first session of the 9th Southern Africa Solar Thermal Training and Demonstration Initiative, SolTrain Conference. The SolTrain Conference is crucial for accelerating the region's transition to sustainable solar-based energy. It showcases advancements in renewable heating and cooling. It connects stakeholders for regional policy and highlights practical large-scale solar thermal demonstration. I have already been introduced. My name is Tabani Mpofu. I will moderate this session. I want to invite the speakers for this session to come up front and take seats at the top. I want to invite the Honorable Deputy Minister of Energy and Power Development of Zimbabwe, Honorable Yeukai Simbanekabi. Honorable, if you could come up front, take a seat at the center. I also want to invite a round of applause as they come up. Let's give them some energy. I also want to invite the Executive Director for the Sadc Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, SACRI, Mr. Kudagwashe Njugula. If you could come up, sir. Thank you. And sitting next to the Honorable Minister. I want to invite the Vice Chancellor for the National University of Science and Technology, Professor Nkele Inokeshel Dodlo. Prof. I also want to invite SolTrain, the SolTrain project leader, Mr. Wolfgang Gruber-Glassley, to come up front and take a seat. Lastly, I want to invite our keynote speaker, who is the Managing Director for the Institute for Sustainable Technologies, Mr. Christopher Brunner. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to welcome us all and set the tone for the conference, it is my honor to introduce our Deputy Minister of Energy and Power Development from the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Simbanekabi. She works closely with the Minister of Energy and Power Development, who spoke to us earlier. Works also with key government agencies, development partners, and private sector stakeholders to advance the ministry's mandate of driving energy security, expanding access to modern energy services, and promoting investment in renewable and clean energy technologies. Her vision is to see Zimbabwe achieve universal access to energy anchored on renewable sources, improved efficiency, and strong local participation in the energy value chain, in line with the Vision 2030 and the National Development Strategy. Kindly join me as I invite our Honorable Deputy Minister to give us a welcome address.
Thank you so much, moderator of this session. Good morning, everyone. The Honorable Minister has already welcomed us in the morning session, and I'm not a discussant for this session. I'm just here to make sure that the session is warmed up and to just give a brief welcome to this particular session only. So I want to recognize Your Excellencies, the Honorable Ministers of Energy from all the SADC member states, especially the host minister, Honorable July Moyo, the Minister of Energy and Power Development for Zimbabwe. I want to recognize the SADC Secretariat, as well as the deputy ministers that are here, permanent secretaries that are attending this session, the executive director and management of SACRI, distinguished partners and financiers, the heads of delegation, but I want to pay particular attention to Her Excellency, Madame Romana Koenigsbrand, of the Australian ambassador who is here from South Africa, and the Professor Mohele Dlodlo, the Vice Chancellor for NAST here in Zimbabwe. I also recognize the captains of industry, all development partners, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to welcome you all to the 9th Southern African Solar Thermal Training and Demonstration Initiative, which is the SOLTRAIN Conference. This conference, which is being held as part of the SADC Sustainable Week agenda, follows a successful conference which was held in Harare in November 2021. In 2025, SOLTRAIN hosted the 8th SOLTRAIN conference in Botswana, where Zimbabwe was passed the baton to hold this conference this year. Hence the reason why we are here today. Since the last conference, the government of Zimbabwe has made significant strides in advancing solar thermal technologies, and Zimbabwe has signed the Solar Thermal Technology Platform and Implementation Plan, reaffirming our commitment to reducing climate change impacts and expanding access to clean, sustainable energy. This is a follow-up to the National Solar Water Heating Program launched in 2015, which aims to save energy of about 300 megawatts of power. Through the adoption and retrofitting of solar water heaters and the domestic and industrial solar geysers, we anticipate a significant demand to drop off from our national grid in homes, hotels, and other business premises. Last year, in 2025, the government launched the National Energy Efficiency Policy, which aims to further strengthen our commitment to energy access and the achievement of nationally determined contributions under the Global Climate Framework. Through collaboration with partners such as the United Nations Environment Programme, UNDP, and the United Nations, and the SADC Center for Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency SACRI, and Zimbabwe has championed minimum energy performance standards, which is called MAPS. These MAPS are focusing on the refrigeration motors and lighting, and they have been widely adopted by industry and the domestic sector. Zimbabwe is also actively participating in the Energy Efficient Lighting and Appliances Program, ELA. Over the past 13 years, the government of Zimbabwe has worked closely with the SOLTRAIN project, implemented locally by the National University of Science and Technology, which is one of the leading academic institutions in Zimbabwe. Through this collaboration, Zimbabwe has supported the Global Heat Worldwide Survey and promoted local manufacturing and assembly of solar water heating systems by companies such as Monarch Steel, Capri, and Telco, among others. The government has also strengthened the regulatory framework through Statutory Instrument 235 of 2019, the Electricity Solar Water Heating Regulations. These regulations govern the installation, licensing, operation, maintenance, and upgrading of solar water heating systems in Zimbabwe. Importantly, they mandate that all new buildings install solar water heating systems and discourages the use of conventional electric geysers. And these measures were developed in consultation with the Energy Regulatory Authority, ZERA, and form part of our broader renewable energy strategy. Additionally, through the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority and with support from different partners, The government has overseen energy efficiency initiatives, including the replacement of conventional lighting with LED systems in major hospitals, as well as the installation of hot water systems in all provincial hospitals. These initiatives demonstrate the government's full support for the solar thermal heating and cooling demonstration initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather here to share experiences, successes, and lessons learned from across the Sadc region and beyond through the Soul Train project and its partners. We look forward to production deliberations during this conference and throughout the Sadc Sustainable Week here in Victoria Falls. With these few words, it is my pleasure to declare the 9th Soul Train Conference officially opened. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister, for welcoming all of us, for warming up the conference, and also for setting the tone for the conference. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is the Executive Director for Sadc Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, Mr. Kudawashe Ndlugula, who has already been introduced before. A round of applause for our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Director of Ceremonies. Honorable Deputy Minister, if you may allow me to ride on the protocol that you have already established. Ladies and gentlemen, the Soul Train, we call it a family because we have become a family. I know my colleague Wolfgang is going to take us through the Soul Train journey, but maybe allow me to just speak a little bit about this journey without taking his words, but also to highlight why we are calling ourselves a family. For me personally, solar thermal is a field that when I was still young, when I still had some hair all over, after my undergraduate studies, I then undertook postgraduate studies in renewable energy, where I think the 3rd cohort at the University of Zimbabwe to study renewable energy. And I had an opportunity to also go to Germany for my internship, and I was attached to a research institution that was researching on solar thermal. So mein Deutsch is a little bit shaky now after 20 years or so. So I was researching on solar thermal. Then I came back. Also, my master's degree research project was also on solar thermal. And also had the opportunity to work on at a tobacco research institution where we're trying to convert, tobacco growing and curing is one of the sectors that use a lot of firewood. It has been actually marked as one of the areas that needs strong intervention. Either they use firewood or they use diesel or coal for the curing process. So we're doing some research on how we can mitigate the use of firewood using solar. And this time it was solar air heating. So you have solar panels, take the heat, and then push it through the tobacco burns. I think we had some significant gains there. We managed to calculate and measure. We measured and calculated that efficiency gains from this intervention would make probably around 25% savings, retrofitting existing burns. But obviously, if one had to go a step further to then maybe design from onset a specialized burn that takes into consideration the use of solar, obviously gains there would be much higher. But anyway, that's as far as my journey is concerned. But then, fast forward a few years later, I happened to work at a research institution in Namibia, where we're looking at setting up a renewable energy institution. There, a group of people, we met together, of course, using connections that I established when I was still a student. When I was still a student, I remember Dr. Now do we call him doctor? We often called him doctor, but Werner Weiss, as the father of solar thermal, I reached out to him and said, no, we want to do some, see if we can do some solar thermal amongst the initiatives that we are undertaking as a region. Then he says, no, Kuda, this is an opportunity that we should not miss, because actually we are considering to meet as a group and set up a regional initiative with the support of the Austrian government. So we then met as a group. I remember that time, I think it was 2008, 2009, in Pretoria, if I'm not mistaken. Then we said, okay, let's come up with this program to support the development of solar thermal. Capacity building was identified as the biggest issue, because I believe even some people who have solar water heaters here, some of them work only for a few months, and after that, they pack, which is quite a disaster. So we said, I think what is needed here is capacity building. We need to train people on designing, installing, and maintaining solar water heaters. It's quite a significant investment that you put on your roof to put up a solar water heater. So you can imagine you spent, let's say in dollar terms, a good solar water heater, a very good one, that can last you with a claim of, say, 12 to 15 years, should cost around more than $1,000 US. So you can imagine you have spent 1,000 or 2,000 US, depending on the size of a family. You put up a geyser on a roof, a solar geyser, then it works only for 6 months. It's a disaster. So back then we said, okay, let's set up a program. At that time, the countries that were identified being South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe. Those were the 3 countries that were identified at that time that we started working together. And then the family grew. We then had Lesotho coming on board. And then after Lesotho, then Botswana joined us. Then it became a family. From that family, we started having demonstration projects, training initiatives. I'm sure you have seen, unfortunately, the trailer could not come here from NAST, which is hosting one of the trailers. Unfortunately, because I think of the condition that it could not be here with us. But that trailer is being used around to do some training on solar water heating. And the technologies have expanded to now go beyond just solar water heating, to look at even inclusion of heat pumps. These are new technologies that are coming up. So it's also evolving. So after that, and then we also saw that, look, besides domestic water heating, we have institutions where they could make significant savings, especially if you look at the hospitality industries. Big hotels, they use heavy fuel or diesel boilers. Some use coal. But this can easily be met with solar water heating. You look at some industries, textile industries, you look at bottling plants. For example, just look at the water bottling plant or beverage bottling plant. They need warm water to clean the bottles. That water, you clean it at 60 degrees, of course, because of the issues around salmonella and other things. They need to push up the temperatures higher, maybe to about 80, 100 degrees, but they bring it down to 60 degrees to avoid the issues of heavy scalding. Solar thermal, you can reach those temperatures with solar thermal. So we said, let's work on those issues as a family. We have now expanded to look at issues around renewable heating and cooling, not just now solar thermal. Because now with renewable heating and cooling, you are looking at also issues of heat recovery. Your boilers and others that are using different sources of energy, then you convert that and use it to efficiently to convert that and use it to heat water. And also as room air conditioning, you can safely use renewable energy for that. And then another step is energy efficiency, which we are now incorporating, but my colleague is going to speak a lot about it, how we have evolved and are evolving. Lastly, I would like to say the family is growing bigger and bigger. Now we have additional countries that we have brought on board. As I said, Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe being the first family that gathered together. I'm happy to say, as of last year, we have expanded Soul Train to countries, other countries, the Kingdom of Eswatini. We're proud that as the next host of the Sadc Sustainable Energy Week, we'll be able also to demonstrate some milestone that will be achieved with the solar thermal. We've also brought on board the United Republic of Tanzania, and then Honorable Minister, our Siamese twin, we cannot leave the twin behind. So the Republic of Zambia is now part also of the Soul Train family. So we are proud that the Soul Train family is growing, and we are here to serve. But I also want to thank the government of Austria for supporting this initiative. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude my remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njogula, for sharing insights on the Soul Train family. And as you rightly said, here in Zimbabwe, it is being implemented by the National University of Science and Technology. And with us is the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mkhele Dlodlo. Prof, giving you the turn to take the podium and speak to us about what NAST is doing on solar energy and other energy projects. Thank you. A round of applause for Vice Chancellor.
Oh, this one. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mpofu. May I write on the protocols already observed, with your permission, Deputy Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister. It is with immense pride and joy that I welcome you to the 9th Soul Train Conference hosted by the National University of Science and Technology, NAST, here in Zimbabwe, to convene in the majestic setting of Victoria Falls is itself a reminder of the power and beauty of nature, an apt backdrop to our discussions on harnessing the sun's energy to build a sustainable future. Since 2013, NAST has been a proud partner in the solar thermal heating and cooling demonstration initiative called Soul Train. Through its successive phases, culminating in the current Soul Train Plus program, we have worked tirelessly to advance solar thermal technologies and their transformative potential across the Sadc region. This gathering of brilliant minds is not just a conference, it's a continuation of a journey towards resilience, towards competitiveness, and towards sustainable development. Our theme, from demonstration to scale, solar heating and cooling for competitiveness and resilient communities, resonates deeply with NAS's mission. We are committed to driving innovation and sustainability, embedding renewable energy research into the very fabric of our own institution. Across our faculties, from the built environment to applied sciences, environmental science, and engineering, we are equipping students with the skills to lead in clean energy technologies. Interdisciplinary collaboration is at the heart of our approach. ensuring that projects such as net zero building, that kind of design, and energy efficiency are not isolated efforts, but part of a holistic vision for climate action. Universities worldwide are stepping forward as catalysts in the energy transition. They are building renewable infrastructure on campuses, integrating sustainability into curricula, and fostering industry partnerships and extending energy access to communities. To meet the imperatives of clean energy, institutions must prioritize interdisciplinary research, industry academia collaboration, skills development, as well as community engagement. NAST embraces these priorities wholeheartedly, confident that regional and global collaboration will accelerate our shared progress. A powerful enabler of this transition is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is revolutionizing solar thermal technologies by optimizing system design, enabling predictive maintenance, and facilitating smart grid integration. At NAST, we are advancing applied research and prototyping with AI integration, forging strategic partnerships with industry, policymakers, and international institutions alike. Our initiatives align with Zimbabwe's National Development Strategy 2, NDS 2, which identifies renewable energy as a cornerstone of industrialization and economic growth. They also resonate with the global commitment to Sustainable Development Goal 7, SDG 7, of ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. As a leader in STEM-oriented human capital development, NAST is enhancing skills for students and professionals while strengthening community engagement. We have capacitated over 800 Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority technicians nationwide, with expertise in electrification, solar installations, and energy management. Our collaboration with the Environmental Management Agency, supported by the Internet Society Foundation, is advancing research on electronic waste management, renewable energy in IT, and digitized energy education. Looking ahead, we are preparing to establish a 5-megawatt solar PV farm at our Bulawayo campus. And we welcome partnerships with independent power producers to realize this vision. So, ladies and gentlemen, this conference, as I indicated earlier, is more than an exchange of ideas. It is a call to action. Let us harness the power of solar energy to drive competitiveness and resilience and sustainable development across the Sadc region and beyond. So to our international guests who are among us, I extend a heartfelt welcome to Zimbabwe, and to NAST if you can pass by. May our hospitality and natural wonder of Victoria Falls leave you with lasting memories. Ngiyalibonga, ngiyaliboka, twalumba. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Jodo, for the remarks on progress made by NAST who are the leaders of the Soul Train projects and other researches on renewable energies that the university is doing. Ladies and gentlemen, for a deeper understanding of the Soul Train project, I want to invite the leader for the project, Mr. Wolfgang Gruber-Glass, to give us a deeper understanding and take us through the journey so far. A round of applause for Mr. Wolfgang.
Thank you. Thank you all. The protocol have been established. I want to add that her ambassador, our Austrian ambassador, will arrive tomorrow. She will give her welcome remark at the gender session. I think that's very fitting. Also with GWNet and Soul Train hosting this session together. She is looking forward to join us here in Vic Falls. I also want to add that I experienced the ministers of Zimbabwe, Adrian Moyo and Zambia in Gaborone with the energy you had there in your talks and your vision for your countries with the Zambezi River in between, but also for the whole Sadc region. The motto then was accelerate towards the transformation towards clean energy. Now we have accelerated. Now we are driving, so this year's motto is very fitting. We are now driving on this path towards sustainable energy. And I'm looking forward for this energy from the political corps to support us in doing our work from a technical and capacity building front. I'm looking forward to continue our journey of Soul Train. Yeah, I'm starting with a picture from my hometown taken just 2 days ago. I wanted to come here early on Saturday so I can experience Wick Falls and prepare for the conference. But I faced barriers. Yeah, heavy snowfall in Vienna delayed the flight. And solar also faces barriers. Yeah, sometimes it's snow, so the solar panel on top of my roof cannot provide heat. Sometimes it's regulatory barriers. Sometimes it's capacity building barriers. Sometimes it's simple technology that is a barrier for this acceleration and driving towards sustainable energy. But we are working on it since 2009. Soul Train Phase 1 in 2009. Thank you, Kuda, for reminding us on the early days of Soul Train and how many young people have been encouraged to follow this path. And now I think you are a role model showing that being the leader of SACRI shows what is possible. Yeah. We've run out of numbers a bit, yeah, so the current phase is not called 5, but it's called Plus. And we are looking for a next symbol of the next Soul Train phase, as this project is running out until the end of this year. Our Austrian government always said, okay, we need to stop, yeah? We need to kind of phase out because we've done so much, yeah? But Soul Train is such an impactful and successful story that now the wording has changed a little bit this year, yeah? So our Austrian government, they rather say, let's talk about phase over. So I think that's a little change, but for me it's a motivation to discuss with you this week how this phase over looks like. And this will also be my presentation of today. For those that don't know Soul Train that well, I just want to give an overview of the 6 focal areas. The training and capacity building is in the center with demonstration projects that showcase the technology. So those are 2 main components, but it's also about financial incentives. We have subsidies in place for a limited number of demonstrators, but we're also working on regulatories, bankable proposals in Namibia. We just heard about Zimbabwe, also what is ongoing there, to incentivize financial models to support solar thermal uptake. not only solar thermal, but also renewable heating and cooling in general. Also, R&D is an important topic. AE Intec ourselves, we are a research organization, and we collaborate with our partner countries like NAST here in Zimbabwe on R&D topics too. So I want to kickstart our discussion on the phase over with my 3 takeaways, my 3 learnings of Soltrain so far, as I have joined the family also around 4 years ago. I think one thesis for me is we must clearly distinguish between simple, scalable solutions for mass markets and then more sophisticated high-performance systems. When we go next, we'll see that we have generated demonstration systems on the next slide in the different countries. We have now in the 359 systems approved that are directly funded by Soltrain. You see a bit the distribution in the country. Fully implemented are 225. And when we have a closer look at those systems, we have on the one hand simple solutions. It's not quite right, but that's already a step forward because we combine 4 collectors with 1 storage, so that's already 1 step forward. But still, those are like the example, our demonstration system at Follow Heights with our partner Eltena Pro. Those are highly replicable installation. They generate jobs for installation and on specific topics. So we need training for those specific areas. There's a strong competition and I would say partnership also with PV and PV to heat. Yeah? We're all in the clean energy sector. We're not selling solar thermal. We are a independent research organization. We are agnostic to technology as long as it helps achieving our goals. So I think we need to, and we will hear several presentations today that from Stellenbosch University and also a comparison study done in Namibia at the Namibian University there, where we look at exactly those. What is the benefit of solar thermal collectors? What is the benefit of PV to heat? So I invite you to join the later sessions for these deliberations. But then we also have more sophisticated solutions. Systems like Mediclinic, a hospital in Cape Town. This system has been commissioned and supported by Soltrain 2. Those are PVT collectors, a new technology. If you look at the right top corner, it's like a simple PV, photovoltaic module that generates the same amount of electricity, but at the same time, it generates 3 times the amount of heat. Yeah? And this heat, this hot water can be used for the hospital. What this means is in urban area, in dense urban areas like hospitals with limited roof space, we must generate most of our available resources. And in this case, available resources is the roof area. And we must use it the best way. And we have integrated heat pumps that use waste heat. We have used an existing storage and a new storage. So this is already advanced engineering to optimize the whole system. So we need different capacity building programs for such systems. And we need to acknowledge this in our future training programs. Yeah, I've said that. Those systems can then lead to 100% renewable solutions. For this hospital, 100% of the hot water demand is covered by renewables. We have reached a milestone this year. 1,000 systems have been supported by Soltrain over the year. So special thanks to my colleague Rudi, sitting in the back, who is running together with the partners, making sure that those systems are also well run. There's quality inspection after 1 year, and then also monitoring for at least 2 years after the installation. And there's a warranty also from the solar thermal companies put in place. If something is not working, they need to revisit as part of the contract. Soltrain demonstrator generate private investments. In the last 3 years, the demonstration systems we have put up, those are just the direct funded Soltrain demonstrators, we have generated 922,000 euro in private investments for these demonstrators. This is money from the clients, from the beneficiary that has been added to the projects. The average funding rate of Soltrain has dropped from around 50% in previous phases to 26%. This is on purpose because funding is kind of a drug. It's a bit of an addiction, right? If you always expect funding, then only you wait for the funding that you can implement it. Yeah? But you need to lower the dose in order to have a sustainable regulatory framework. So that's a good sign in my mind. So the second part is that practical individual training remains essential. So Soltrain trainings are mostly 2-day trainings, 3-day trainings, individual trainings discussed with our local partners, what are the target groups, what is expected, what is needed, and then we implement it. But I think it's no longer sufficient. We must move towards standardization, certification, and structured pathways to professionalize the sector. So this is also what needs to be taken up. We have trained more than 6,400 people since Soltrain started, 1,400 in the last 3 years. We've done 51 courses in the last 3 years. That's only from AE Intake. Then there are more courses being done by our partners too. So you see, we do a lot of, those are 100 training days, individual training days on site in the last 3 years. So it's a lot of on-site training, ad hoc trainings, dedicated trainings, but I think we also need to move towards more standardized, certified, accredited standards, and there we need the support of the countries on a regional level. You see some impressions of those 51 multi-day trainings in the last 3 years. So from train the trainer, for example, for VTCs, so they can do the training again, artisan trainings, the are more practical oriented, and dedicated training for industry and commerce, where we do energy audit trainings, how to assess the energy demand of an industry, and then design more sophisticated systems for those. For those from the academia or those in contact with students, I want to remind that there's an open call for bursaries. We are supporting students to do research work on solar, thermal, and renewable heating and cooling related topics, up to 2,100 euro for students' research work, applications until the end of the week. So more topics can be funded. Yeah, I think I'll skip this. We need to move towards certification and standardization. Lastly, I think this conference is also a testimony that we are already working on this. Sustainable transformation requires strong international cooperation. On the African continent, our friends through the UNIDO GenSec network are also here from ECOWAS region, EACRE, from East Africa, so to work together on this path, and also from different partners from Europe are here to work on this partnership. One example is the LEAPSE program, Long-Term European-African Partnership on Sustainable Energy. I've put up this slide also last year in Gaborone. Since then, there has been another call. There's the possibility for African research organizations to partner with 2 European countries on joint research projects. The last call just finished in February, but there will be new calls again. And you see, there are different countries providing funds for their countries, for their universities. So you will see Kenya, you see Algeria, you see Morocco, but only South Africa from the South African from Sadc is providing support here. What this means, if the national countries provide national funding, it would means access for the national universities to a wider pool of international research. So I just want to encourage looking into this. I know Namibia has looked into this, but didn't went through for this call, but hopefully for the next call, this would allow for more partners to join this partnership. One example, we will do joint webinars with LIPSE for 2026. Kuda, we need to talk about this. I talked with Leonard about it, so I think that's a great opportunity. And we just submitted a proposal together with our partners in Namibia, Botswana, Egypt, specifically for hospitals that not only require electricity and hot water, but also distilled water, purified water for sanitation purpose, for high requirements for operations, for example. So those are research-oriented projects. My boss, Christoph, will then present more about the solar heating and cooling program. So he'll explain a little bit more about this. I just want to point out that by joining the International Energy Agency through SolTrain, we put some countries on the map for the solar heating and cooling program. We organized an expert meeting in Windhoek in September, and you see the testing container solar water heating study with the different technology. On the left, the PV to heat system. On the right, 2 different solar solutions. So those are also internationally present work that is generated out of this comparison study. Yeah. Kuda already mentioned that we are expanding in different ways. On the one hand, we have the expansion towards last year with first trainings that were held in Zambia, Eswatini, Malawi, and also Tanzania. Tanzania is for me personally a great sign, because after the last conference in Gaborone, we talked with the energy director from Tanzania. He's interested, why don't you come to us? Sakrit took it up afterwards, and after half a year, we organized the training and plan to do the next one. So that's a great success story also of this conference, of this setup, to connect and to network. I also want to announce that we have got funding of a new project called SolTrain Pure. Yeah, that's also something new for most. You see for the EAC, EACRE, with pilot country Uganda, and in the ECOWAS region with ECRE, with the pilot country of Ghana. It's a much smaller project compared to SolTrain Plus, and it focuses on roadmap development, which has been done already here in the Sadc region, standardization and certification, and also train-the-trainer systems. It's also run through UNIDO and the GenSec centers. So this network is growing. I think it's improving, and we can learn from each other here. And I think it also shows that there is potential for future collaboration in the Sadc region. So this is my conclusion of our journey. I hope I gave you some impression on what has been done already. I'm really looking forward to this week. I want to hear what your thoughts on phase-over concepts are in our SolTrain family, but also inject new ideas from partners we have not talked with before. So I look forward to collaborate and working with you on our future journey of SolTrain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wolfgang, for sharing the SolTrain journey. It's indeed a family, not just a family, but a growing family that is attracting various stakeholders. And thank you for sharing that. I think we now all have a deeper understanding of what SolTrain project is doing and its impact in different countries. Our last speaker is going to give us a keynote address I want to invite Mr. Christopher Brunner, the Chief Executive Officer for the Institute of Sustainable Technologies. A round of applause for Mr. Brunner.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and warm welcome also from my side, the ministers, the deputy minister, and dear guests. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, and also that Soul Train had this visibility at this conference. Today, I was asked, not in my role of CEO of INTEC, more as a vice chair of the International Energy Agency, and on the DCP, solar technology and sustainable heating and cooling. And if you maybe can give my slides. Yeah, thank you very much. So, to speak about these activities of the International Energy Agency. The IEA, for those who doesn't know them, there are about 32 countries participating to this International Energy Agency, and the agency is organized mainly in so-called technology collaboration programs, TCPs. It's about 39 different TCPs actually running there, and these TCPs has a focus on different topics on energy. It's starting from the clean coal over nuclear, but also renewable energies in different sectors like storages, and this DCP I wanted to present, and where I vice chair, is the DCP on sustainable, on solar technologies and sustainable heating and cooling. Just that you know, it's there are an executive committee, so there are representatives from different countries in one of these DCPs, and these DCPs are from the content running on so-called tasks. It's networks on experts, which has then a specific focus on different topics. These networks, or these tasks, which are organized within this DCP, they have this duty of doing research activities to promote results on different research activities and technologies, doing capacity buildings, doing to make policy briefings, etc. So I think it's a very interesting and perfect possibility to be active on different topics. The topic of SHC TCP is here mainly, it's on renewable heating and cooling as a key driver for this energy transition. And this energy transition, as a heating, it's a huge, let's say, topic on this energy transition. It's about 30% of the total energy demand is heat. It's not electricity, and this is in line, of course, also with the topics on Soul Train in general. So the scope of this DCP is, on the one hand, to further develop the technologies which is included in this DCP. It is also on energy supply technologies and the interaction with other renewable energy technologies. It's also this interaction with storage technologies. Storage is a main part for this energy transition. It's about the integration in other energy supply systems, and it's about to support standards, different status. The minister mentioned this morning about statistics. Statistics data are important here. And of course also on tools, how to integrate the technology for the heat supply and the cooling supply in buildings, regions, and industry. So next slide, please. So the thematic areas which are covered at this TCP, it's of course on the one hand first on solar thermal technologies, but we also address photovoltaic support for heating and cooling in combination with solar thermal. Then all the building activities on passive solar building houses and the design of these buildings. Also architectural questions are addressed in the TCP. Then this cooperation with other renewable energy technologies like heat pumps, heat storage I mentioned already, but also especially in our regions important district heating networks. And then we have different new applications and new fields we are addressing. It's on the one hand thermal water treatments, how to purify wastewater, for example, with this technology on solar or thermal technologies. Then the application in agriculture areas, so not only industry, but also agriculture areas, for example, drying technologies. And then a very new activities, it's about producing hydrogen out of solar in direct form. I will speak a little bit more later on this. So, the regions you see here and the countries which are involved in this TCP, it's about 20 countries involved. But if you click further, then we have, but we, as you can see here, we have very specific focus on the Global South. From the countries of the Global South, South Africa is, as a country, partner on this TCP, but additional to that, we have the already mentioned GenSec centers and the regions. Starting, so we have all these centers, which also be member of this TCP, as you can see indicated in the map here. So if you give me the next slide. Wolfgang already mentioned the cooperation with the GenSec centers. I think it's a very important, very great possibility to spread this information within these different regions. And in Africa, many RECRI, ICRI, SACRI, ECOWAS and EACRI, these are the centers which are involved in our TCP. Besides these centers on the Global South, we also have the International Solar Academy, the ISIS, which is there, and also Solar Heat Europe as an organization. Next slide, please. What are the main results out of our activities? As Wolfgang also mentioned before, standardization is an important part, especially to spread out the technology and to multiply the technology and the implementation of the technology. And within the TCP, there has been developed a so-called Global Solar Certification Network, where the different certifications in different regions are harmonized. This increases, of course, the possibility and also the quality of the installations. Then we have market trends and reports and data, statistics. So we are doing every year, and this is especially we as company, as AINTEC, we are providing a Solar Heat Worldwide report annually. So there's the statistics and the data worldwide on the global market of solar thermal energy within this in this report, and gives you an idea of this market trends of this technology and also of the innovation landscape. Then within the TCP also methods and key figures are developed, especially how to calculate levelized cost of heat, how to have market and economy data. Then tools and databases are available on the website for free. So just have a look on the website. You will find databases on different outcomes of the different tasks itself. For example, on renovation tools or on tools for solar heat for industrial processes. This stands for SHIP here. Then we are producing policy and position papers, so it's really very comprehensive reports within 1 or 2 pages for policy, for politicians to have a comprehensive overview, what are the potential of different applications and what are the key figures. And what we are also doing is capacity building and visualization. Some of the trainings in cooperation with Soltrain, it is done in this Solar Academy. And there are 4 webinars yearly held, so really open for the whole world. We have webinars, the same webinar is done twice in different time zones, so quite a good possibility to learn more about all these activities on the DCP. Next slide, please. Yeah, so here are some pictures of our publications. Here there are different reports you can find on the website. Then databases, databases on large-scale systems, for example, databases on solar process heat systems worldwide, where you can click and search for applications in different industry sectors or different countries. Yeah. Then we have tools, different tools are available where you can make assessments in different industries, where you can calculate different possibilities. These are the reports I mentioned, partly Solar Heat Worldwide report, it's about the market trends and statistics. Solar Update, it's about new results of the development. We have an annual report. These are these position papers, the policy briefing position papers, and we also have a database on speakers, experts who can speak about different specific topics. So I want to guide you now through a journey through, let's say, some of the different tasks which are partly finished, partly ongoing, so that you get an idea what are the topics about in the DCP. I want to start on solar process heat. I think it's a very crucial and important topic, especially in the region here, but also in general in Africa. It's about how to use solar thermal energy for industrial processes, for technologies like drying, like cooking, other industrial processes where you need thermal energy. So the scope of this task is to make bankable and scalable solar heat plants for the industry in combination with other industry technology or energy supply technologies. The scope is from ambient temperature up to 400 to 500 degrees Celsius, so really covers a lot of different industry sectors. Mining industry, for example, is fully covered in this sector, and a very perfect possibility and application for solar thermal industry. Then there's a specific focus on the integration. You always have to combine the integration of this renewable energy by energy efficiency. First, save energy, and then to integrate renewable energy. And for this, very good tools are developed and provided here. The key results of this task are the integration concept and guidelines. You find here very nice integration concepts where you be guided how to make such an integration of solar thermal with references and profile loads, etc. Then performance and monitoring guidance to improve these projects, and then also cost and finance deliverables on the task. So to get an idea with which costs can you calculate, how are you comparable with other technologies itself. And I want to mention here especially this solar heat for industrial process database, where we really get a very perfect overview. I think at the moment we have over 1,000 applications, and you get a very nice overview where solar thermal technologies are already implemented in the industry. Next slide. Yeah, here's one picture of a brewery in Spain, Heineken brewery. Heineken was one of the first large industries which had the focus on solar thermal, and this application, 4.2 megawatts thermal solar concentrating installation, has been recently finalized at the brewery in Valencia in Spain. Next point, yeah. Here, this is about solar hot water heaters. Wolfgang mentioned this. It's an important technology also here to reduce the energy demand and reduce the electricity demand mainly, and to really convert with an easy and simple technology hot water for family houses, multi-family houses. So the focus here is low maintenance, low upfront costs, no pumping and circulation systems, and a strong potential for smart controls and monitoring possibilities. The core focus was on solar thermosiphon systems and on PV self-consumption hot water systems. And the main output was to have a very nice overview on best practice examples and technical and market intelligent solar hot water heaters. Then also the standardization and harmonization of this technology. And here you will find also a lot of transfer activities as this, in this Solar Academy webinars, what I mentioned already in the beginning on that. Yeah, and as an example, I brought you a thermosiphon system from a tourism lodge in Mozambique. It's with a very high solar yield of 1,700 to 2,200 kilowatt hours per square meter in here. Next slide. Yeah, another very important topic, future topic, solar cooling. Yeah. It's about solar thermal energy to use for cooling purposes. And here there was a very specific focus on the Sunbelt region, so between plus and minus 20 to 40 degrees latitude around the Sunbelt region has been defined. And the results of this task was, on the one hand, to build a technical economical assessment database. You find this on the website. Then to develop tools and methods again to identify possibilities of this integration and also the cost benefits by this technology. And yeah, next slide, or next. Yeah, it's about technology adaptation. It's new technology, two-stage absorption chillers have been developed here. Next, and yeah, and this market focus to be comparable with compression cooling systems. This was one of the main outcomes here. As an example, it's about a cooling system, 1 megawatt cooling system for the hospital in Nicaragua, in Managua. Good. Yeah, the next one, it's about solar energy for industrial water and wastewater treatment. I think also an important aspect for the region here. This task was about how can you combine water treatment with solar thermal applications. You know, water treatment needs energy, and how you can provide this energy here. And there was, on the one hand, solar thermal applications and the use of solar photons directly to reduce, on the one hand, the energy demand, but also to reduce the emissions for this industrial water and wastewater treatment. So it's about the energy-water nexus, which is quite crucial. The technologies which has been, okay, I will be ready. The technologies which has been covered here was, on the one hand, thermal technologies like membrane distillation, but also technology like other membranes like reverse osmosis technologies in combination with solar energies, and advanced oxidation processes, so direct use of photons for photocatalytic and photophantom reactions to decontaminate the water. And the key results out of it was a clear mapping which technology can be used for which treatment. Also, the integration of solar concepts with collectors and water treatment applications in one collector systems, and also further development and demonstration activities. As an example, it's from a membrane distillation facility in Spain, 500 square meters. So membrane distillation is a thermal-driven separation technology, and they're cleaning the water on that. The next is on PVT, as a photovoltaic and thermal applications. Wolfgang mentioned this already, so you get electricity and thermal energy out of it, and the good thing here, the photovoltaic system is operating better because it's cooled on the one side. So it's a win-win situation. Scope was or is about hybrid photovoltaic thermal technologies, to develop them and combining with other technologies, system integration in different buildings, district heating systems, but also in the industry, and also a performance assessment methodology. And yeah, next slides, it's about the key technology results, the benchmarking of these PV technologies, a guideline, design guideline will be developed. It's an ongoing task, and also the process in performing modeling and standardization will be done here. Here, large PVT installation in the industry is shown. It's a carrosserie Pfister in Switzerland, which provides heat for the processes and electricity for the processes. And now coming to the last one, it's a very new and ongoing activity, and we as INTEC are much involved in this technology, is the use of photons from the sunlight, directly convert them with water into hydrogen, solar fuels, or solar chemicals. The big advantage is that it's much more efficient than the way over electrolyzer, as a PV and electrolyzer, and produce hydrogen. And as you all know, hydrogen is a very important fuel for the future to reach this transformation. This technology has a big future. So it's about to develop solar photoreactor technologies to use real sunlight, then to focus on photocatalytic and photothermal conversion processes, the integration of new materials. Here it's about catalysts which are used or are important to run this process very efficient, and of course then again standardization, etc. The key technology results, it's the identification of these catalysts, what I mentioned here. So also, again, new materials are important, innovation as innovative fractional concepts, and also the solar to chemical energy conversion pathways. This is important. Last slide. South Africa is involved in this task. Stellenbosch University is working here, especially on specific optics for these photoelectrocatalytic reactors on that. Now, just to give you some follow-up for the solar heating and cooling activities, you find us on LinkedIn. Mail address, of course, we have Solar Thermal Worldwide. It's our magazine here, and as I said, Solar Academy. I really invite you to join these webinars 4 times a year, because it brings you all this knowledge, all these important activities on the TCP right into your office, and you can discuss with the expert on that. final words, I think it's so important that also your countries here in the region are involved in this direct exchange with the experts. Only with this exchange and common development of technologies, I think we can really create a big advantage. And so I invite you all to join this TCP. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brunner, for that rich information. I'm sure the presentations will be shared to all our participants so that you can be able to engage. But these presentations have empowered us to engage deeply as we proceed with the other sessions. I will open up just for a few questions before I hand over to our Director of Ceremonies. Any few questions? But we have time throughout the week to engage. Silence means there is no question. Thank you very much. A round of applause to our presenters for this session as I request them to leave this stage. Thank you very much for the presentations.
Sorry, before you leave, kindly take a stand for a photo moment.
For a group picture. Thank you.
And the moderator as well. Thank you very much. A round of applause as they take their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know day one comes with its joys and challenges. We are trying to catch up with our time, as you can see. So I noticed that this time is actually for a health break. But we still have a session that was supposed to happen before the health break. But I think a health break is due. But with your indulgence, instead of the 30 minutes that has been allocated for that, may I request that we quickly grab our cup of tea and come back so that we can catch up with the outstanding session before we then move on to the session that was supposed to happen after tea break. Is that okay? Thank you very much. With your indulgence, a few minutes. Thank you.
Gás e Energia, para, junto a esta plateia, partilhar os feitos que está sendo realizado a nível do país, no âmbito do setor de...
Excuse me, Mr. Namuera. Yeah. Can someone please help Mr. Namuera to get in the right channel? Can someone from the technical team please assist Mr. Namuera to get in the right channel, please?
It's okay. Sorry. Sorry.
Can anyone from the technical team please assist Mr. Namuera?
Can I try by you?
Okay, for the sake of time, Mr. Namuera, we will come back to you.
Can I try?
You okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you to invite the government of Mozambique, the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, to be part of this meeting, and share what we are doing in Mozambique. Thank you for your questions. I'll start to say that in 2013, the countries conducted the assessment of renewable energy resource and identify 22,000 gigawatts of potential renewables. But they get potentials in not everything is important. We know how to explore, how to invest in renewable energy. It was necessary to implement several additional strategies. So we start to revise our legal framework to involve the private sector, the private sector companies in participation and stimulation in investments, because we think that the private sector is the key player in this sector to deploy our renewable energy. We also established the Energy Regulatory Authority to promote transparency and the competitiveness in the sector. When we have the regulatory authority, that is give more establishment of the private sectors. We approved also in 2018 the National Electrification Strategy, which was operationalized by the National Energy for All programs up to 2030. These programs is adopting two approaches. One on grid, the other the off-grid solutions. Within the grid, we prioritize the network densifications and the grid extensions. And the off-grid, we prioritize the mini-grid and the solar home systems. We also revised our electricity law, which creates space for the private investment in import, exports, consumptions, and the energy service. In 2020, we remove the electricity connections fee, because we think that if you put the electricity connections fee, it will be a major barrier for the access. Now, people, if you want to connect, if a grid is around house, they only have to write to the energy utility in Mozambique called EDM. And then they come without paying nothing, and they will connect the energy. We also invest in the rehabilitations and inspections of our transmissions and the distribution lines. With result of this, we get the annual connection increase from 150,000 in 2019 to more than 500,000 new connections per year, allowing us to move the access from 29% to today 64%. So we are focusing in green energy power industrializations, particularly in around the Nacala corridors. We think that is important areas. This shows that we are not choosing one pathway over another. We are building a diversified energy system that is reliable enough to power growth. If you listen about the Mozambique, you know that we are investing in our Pandankua hydropower with 1,500 megawatts. We are also built our Temani thermal power plants, and we are working, exploiting or developing the solar projects, the wind projects. The end of this year, we will reach the financial closes for 120 megawatt of wind project in Maputo province. Hydropowers, because they ensure stability. The gas provides flexibility and supports our economies. And we work together in solar, in renewable, in solar, wind, and utility scales, and distributed to drive diversification, resilience, and long-term sustainability. That is I can share with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Namoera. Very impressive to hear that Mozambique managed to increase the new connections by such a high number, and also the percentage of the population that has access to energy. I found it very interesting also that you said once we discovered this potential of renewable energies, we thought first about steps, how we can reframe our legal requirements, how can we bring the private sector on board, and we are establishing a regulatory authority. So some of the examples of good policy to increase access and renewable energy rollout. I want to come to you, Mr. Yakunzelwa from Zimbabwe. So you're speaking from the industry perspective, and I would be interested from your point of view, what are the policies that are most critically, and probably where you also see the regulatory bottlenecks in Zimbabwe that is limiting energy investment in this moment, be it in Zimbabwe and also in the broader Sadc region, and how could these bottlenecks be addressed, probably?
Thank you for that line of questioning. I think the one thing that we need to be very clear about is the demographics, whether it's in Zimbabwe or in the Sadc region. We have a high population in the rural area, and then, than the urban area. So different solutions for different, target markets are required. And then secondly, there is need to, we're all transitioning from the single, generator, distributor and transmitter models, which also require a lot of, adjustments in that regard to incorporate the private sector. The space has been opening up for the private sector, particularly in Zimbabwe, I can talk about. There's a lot of developments that are taking place. Of course, we would like to see more of those developments, get to fruition. Most of the areas that need adjustments in that regard are policies to do with national energy policies, integrated energy resource plans, mini-grid policies, grid code reviews. I think it's quite critical. By introducing renewables, we actually need to revise our grid codes, and also the issues to do with our Electricity Act. I think in line with all that, we need also the grid infrastructure to be refurbished, to be expanded, so that it can actually take more renewables. We also need to enhance the trading and the transmission side. Zimbabwe has just opened up the issue of electricity supply, retailing aspect by opening up to private sector. It's a journey that we're having to go through. Of course, it takes a bit of time to tackle some of the obligations, some of the issues that need to be tackled there. For us to bring in investments, we also need government guarantees. We need also local currency guarantees, particularly given the fact that some of the equipment is being imported. So that is also key. For the rural communities, I think there is need for us to look at incentives so that for scaling up, whether it be subsidies, whether it be tax exemptions, we definitely need to look at the issue of scaling up. If we want access by 2030, or energy security by that time, we need to look at some policies that can scale up investments in that regard. We also need to look at the issue of standardization of customs codes, particularly if we are looking from the region perspective. I think one of the area that also needs to be, it's an area that keeps on recurring, the issue of baseline studies. I think it's key, particularly I think you heard the minister talking about statistics for energy efficiency. In Zimbabwe in particular, I can give an example of solar PV, residential solar PV, that if we basically can also get that data to be able then to shape policies and also bring in that private sector capital, which already is in existence, to be able then to scale up going forward. I would say those are some of the issues that we need to look at. We need to facilitate capital to come into the market, and I think that's quite key because and a lot of the policies then hovers then on currency, hovers on just that stability to be able then to get your return, et cetera, and that's certainty, just that from a private sector perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think certainty is the key element for every investment, be it in the energy sector or anywhere else. Thank you for naming some of the policies. I think especially what you mentioned on the border and custom standards in the region, something that, as the Sadc is, this is Sadc meeting, is something particularly that needs to be addressed with other countries. I would like to hand over to Ms. Leone-Human from your perspective. You're coming from South Africa, And how have the recent policy and regulatory shifts in your country changed the landscape for IPPs?
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here and also listen to what all the other countries are saying within the Sadc, and listening to what I just heard. It's good to hear that everybody is going in the right direction, or not the right, but in the same direction when it comes to reform, and that South Africa has already moved. If I look specifically at our Electricity Regulation Act that we amended in August 2024, that act already opened up and created a competitive market that is now going to be launched, if all goes well, in April 2026. This will allow for IPPs to sell power directly through the grid, municipal or through the Eskom grid, which is fantastic. This establishes a market code that paves the way for wholesale electricity market, and it also, this ERA Act, also has a transmission system operator that is separate from Eskom already embedded in it. So if this is a platform from South Africa that can be used with other SADC unions, I mean, it's something that we've been tried and tested. Currently, South Africa is still in the process of implementing this, and it's going to be very interesting and also exciting to see how it plays out in the next couple of months. But again, something that can be taught and also copied throughout the SADC regions. Second to that, something that's worked really well in South Africa was the loosening up of the licensing requirements. As soon as those requirements lifted from our regulator, it helped IPPs to connect to our grid much quicker. Because licensing is a very administrative, expensive role that you need to go through, whereas just registering your IPP is a much quicker process. So that's maybe something that the other regions can definitely also look at to fasten, to connect your IPPs much quicker. Then, obviously, one of the biggest things in South Africa that worked and still working very well is our renewable procurement program, where renewable energy independent power producers can actually bid in a government program for which allows a lot of investment to come in. It's a structured program. There's a lot of confidence within it. So it's also something that the other regions can copy. We already have that in place. It's been working for a number of years, and it can be adopted. One of the last things I would like to mention that is also opening up the market, which was just mentioned now in Zimbabwe as well, is the grid and the transmission network and how it needs to be built out. And what has recently been happening in South Africa is the independent transmission program that we are now focusing on private partners to come in and assist with expanding our program so that we can get to the transmission grid expansion quicker than just have our local Eskom doing that to reach it faster. So by taking hands with the private companies, we can get there quicker.
Thank you, and thank you for also sharing examples from South Africa. You mentioned the ease of registration for IPPs as one of the major positive effects to register IPPs faster. I mean, very honestly speaking, Chatham House rules, is there anything that you would say was a negative example that people could learn from in other countries to not repeat the same mistake that maybe South Africa did?
How to put somebody on the spot without putting them on the spot, eh? Yeah, I think, Anna, it's a tough one, you know, there's people listening. Now, I think,
speaking in general, that's not like South Africa, but from an IPP perspective, what is something that you would wish for to, if we talk about more involvement of IPPs?
Yes, I will say trading licenses. If between currently our regulator is opening up and they are issuing trading licenses, which is making the market more competitive. Which is also making tariffs more competitive. so that it's not just one big tariff and it keeps on increasing and the poor consumers just have to stick with whatever is there. So if you bring in tariffs and you have codes for that, then I think that is, if we can open up for that, that would be something the other countries can learn. Get trading licenses approved earlier.
No, thank you very much. And something that you also mentioned, which I think is really of utmost importance, the structured procurement process. And you said, there's a lot of trust and confidence in the process, which I think is also one of the key conditions for getting more private sector engagement, if there's a relationship, a good working relationship of confidence and trust with the government. So thank you for highlighting that. I would like to come to Mr. Makopela, Deputy Principal Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Metrology from Lesotho. So Lesotho, how is Lesotho aligning in energy policies with broader economic and industrial development goals, especially being a smaller power in the Sadc region? And if you could probably also align to the importance of, seeing energy supply in the broader Sadc area, because again, Lesotho is very small, and how do you see yourself in the Sadc region when it comes to energy security?
Thank you. Thank you so much, the session moderator, for giving me this opportunity to reflect on Lesotho's situation in the energy sector. We derived our energy policy from our overarching national strategic development plan. The plan has several pillars, but among those pillars, there is infrastructure development. Other pillars has to do with economic growth, which also seeks to transform the economy from a consumer-based economy to producer and export-based economy. That pillar on infrastructure development it seeks to build and maintain infrastructure to support the economic activities geared towards development. So those it includes investment. Those infrastructure development includes investment on water, transport, ICT, and energy. So, of course, we have other pillars like social inclusion, governance, but let me be specific on energy, which is priority area 3 in the NSDP. It prioritizes security of energy supply and energy access through the deployment of modern and clean energy techniques. Also encourages building enabling infrastructure and improvements of energy production through the development of the so-called least cost power development plan, which had been recently developed to allow private sector participation in energy. We then, with the direction that the NSDP is providing, we then developed the energy policy, which covered the period from 2015 to 2025. That policy also calls for universal access to energy by all Basotho on a sustainable manner. It has goals such as contributing towards the improvement of livelihoods and protection of environment, as well as ensuring energy supply. It commits to improve access to renewable energy, services, and technologies. Create an enabling environment that will attract investment financing at all levels of energy sector value chain. We also recently developed, it's under review because it came to an end on last year on 2025. So it's under review now. But in order to implement that policy, we also developed energy bill, which is in the process of enactment at the moment. And that bill, in order to build capacity of the sector, it seeks to transform our currently department known as Rural Electrification Unit, which focuses more on rolling out of connectivity, electricity connectivity. And also seeks to transform the Department of Energy in an endeavor to build its capacity to Energy Commission, so that there could be other directorates which are more focused, like, for example, renewable energy itself. Grid, off-grid developments. Also, the bill seeks to establish the so-called energy fund, which also is intended to solicit funding focusing on energy development as well. And also that fund can be a tool to also mobilize resources from partners. That bill also proposes to establish the Energy Investment Facility Unit, which is going to focus on assessing and adjudicating proposals from independent power producers. Of course, we have other policies which aligns also to our broader NSDP. Also speaks to development on the energy sector. It's climate change policy, which was developed in 2017 as well. It supports development of renewable energy sources and increase energy efficiency. Also, the government has made strides to reform some of the regulations and frameworks. In 2002, when we began to establish a regulatory body through an act, because we realized that in order for the energy to prosper and develop further, we need to have a regulator, an independent regulator. So that was established through that act. We developed, like I mentioned before, the least cost development plan, which identifies priority investments in electricity generation, transmission, and infrastructure. It also provides cost optimized roadmap to enhance energy security, reduce import independence, and support long-term economic growth. We also developed a framework, PPP framework, that guides both IPPs and private sector partnership for on-grid and off-grid development. That framework encourages private sector participation while ensuring that ensuring the interests of consumers. It provides step-by-step guide for engagement of the private sector through both solicited and unsolicited. So the private sector in Lesotho, the space is open for them to come and in two forms, either through government adverts or even through their own interventions, investment interventions.
Okay.
Currently we have currently we have also developed the national electricity strategy, which aims at enhancing and accelerating the rate of electrification. In 2015, in 2015, the rate of electrification was around 38%, but through those developments, we were able to move to the rate of 54% currently. And it is intention with these strategies, the intention is for Lesotho to become a net exporter of electricity to the neighboring South Africa and the region as well. We have increased production, electricity production from 62 in the previous years to currently 102 last two years ago. And we have in the pipeline a number of projects through IPPs and government. And then the projection is that in 2027 we will be self-sufficient in terms of energy supply. I think we have one generation to do with wind farm, and then we have several to do with solar, and then we have several at the feasibility stage to do with hydro. I think that is the situation in Lesotho. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very comprehensive overview. And I particularly liked how you said we are trying to shift from our economy, from our electricity seeing as purely consumer-based to seeing energy as important for our productivity sector and for economic growth. Also important, I think, that you underlined how energy is only one pillar of national development plans. And you know, you need to integrate energy policy into a lot of other sectors and not have it like thinking in silos. One is dealing with energy, the other one is dealing with water and ICT, but really aligning them together. I would like to divert a bit from the questions, also giving the time. And after this session, we will have lunch. Lunch needs to be earned. So I'll ask all of the audience to already think about their question. I will pose one short question to each of you. And afterwards, I would like to go to the audience. So kindly think about some questions for our esteemed podium. So I would like to again start with our guest from Mozambique. One question, if you look at the Sadc region, what would be an idea to enhance policy action on a regional level, to increase energy security on a regional level? If you could recommend something, cross-border connectivity, power pool, where would you? What would be a good policy idea to increase regional energy security? And I think you just need to put the mic a bit closer, and then if you speak Portuguese, the translator should be able to get that.
Thank you. I think the important things is to bring innovations for the regulatory frameworks. But this is not easy. It has always been challenge to put innovations in regulatory frameworks, because if where we can see that the regulator is good or not, when we approve and then we don't have any result of our document we approved. But the starting point for this is to make liberalizations of the energy sectors. You have to liberalization the energy sectors and bring whole players for the energy sectors. I can share with you that in 1919, we make several policy and strategy modification to attracting the private company in the energy sectors. Our electricity law in that times introduced the power purchase agreements to facilitate participation of the private companies, because we think that the energy is also, if you bring the private sectors, you know that the private want to make a business. So you have to put all things that can push the private sector in these sectors. So we introduced the power purchase agreement, and then the second thing we have is to approve our off-grid decree for bring the private sectors also for to invest in mini grids, and this decree bring some innovations. One, the decrease is the mini grids up to 10 megawatts. And these mini grids, they include a specific tariff mechanisms because the off-grid, the mini grid is different from the on-grids. So we have to give a different tariff mechanisms. And we approve also the tax incentive, which improve bankability and encourage the investment for this off-grid. But I said when we introduced the power purchase agreements, we shift from the negotiations, bilateral PPAs, to competitive, transparent auctions. The government, with the partners, develop 2 auctions programs. One we call ProLair in Mozambique, is renewable energy auctions programs with project up to 30 megawatts. Is solar and wind projects. The other programs is Get Fit programs, and Get Fit programs we have a Get Fit for on-grid and we get fit for off-grid projects. In on-grid projects is solar and hydropower projects, for projects up to 30 megawatts. In these two programs, we are working in the documents for launch the tenders. I talk about the get fit because the ProLair, we launched the two tenders, and we will launch the third one. We are working the documents. In the get fit, we will launch the tender for on grids and the off grids. I think this year we have finalized the PPA, the grid connections, all documents to be part of this package. The other things, when we revise our electricity law in 2020, we bring any innovations. Okay, we introduced the energy storage concessionary. So now we can come to Mozambique to get concessions for energy storage, and they produce energy and sell. I also mentioned is something we get in the reverse electricity law is the mini grid for concessions fee. Okay, we incentive concessions fee for mini grids, and the requirement to provide performance guarantee is incentive for the mini grid. That is it, some innovative. Recently, we approved our we call energy transition strategy. Is a long-term policy framework aimed to increase renewable generation, promotion low emission, and diversify the energy mix. This strategy have 4 pillars and 14 programs. The 1 pillars we intend to move from the generation from oil to and coal for renewable and solar and the sustainable projects, and diversify our grid project in Mozambique. The second pillars, we intend to bring industrializations without pollutions. We have a good green industrializations. The third one pillars is for energy access. We think that until 2030, maybe we get 100 of population with the access. We intend in this pillar also to give, to move population which use a coal to use gas, cooking with the gas or electricity. The last one pillars in
Mr. Nomera, I'm a bit aware of the time.
Okay. The last pillars is transportations. We intend to move from the people who use your own cars to use public transportations, and then we start to use gas in the cars, electric vehicles, biogas fuels, Yes, that is the goals in our energy transition strategies.
Thank you very much, Mr. Namuera. And I'm going to ask also the three remaining panelists, for the sake of time, your idea on, and Mr. Namuera has addressed some of those, very interesting to see innovation for regulatory framework, liberalization of energy sectors, and how far could that be applied also for the regional perspective? Maybe auctions, maybe one day we will have regional auctions or regional energy storage, who knows? But any add-on from your perspective, maybe Leonie, on a concrete regional policy for the Sadc region?
I think trading licenses that has got import and export as part of it, and between all of the different SADC regions, if that is in place and grid infrastructure can stretch over boundaries, that is something that can definitely help. So yes, if we can talk trading licenses, that would be great.
Okay, so please note to the SACRI, we talk about trading license in the next days. Mr. Isaiah, from your perspective, anything that could enhance regional electricity security, what policy would that be?
I think we need to get our grid's efficiency in terms of transmission. So whatever we are generating from one point to the other, you are able then to export your power efficiently. We also need to look at the issue of licensing, basically enabling the private sector participation in that in the selling aspect. I think more importantly is to learn obviously from what we do domestically to be able then to do it regionally. In Zimbabwe, I think one of our success stories is going to be, successes in the captive power plants, developments that are taking place, which means we now have a lot of developers that have come on board. And, if we incentivize to utilize that generation, they've used their own resources to develop these power plants. And the whole idea is how can we incentivize the excess power that they generate to actually be able to sell it to other parties in terms of whether it's being in the country or whether it's in the region as well. I think we need to look at that aspect as well to enhance that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Makopela, from Lesotho's perspective, maybe building on the idea that Lesotho wants to become an exporter of electricity, what can be done?
Thank you, Madam, once again. I think we, as the country, we recognize that in order for the country to realize huge power generation, we actually require participation of the private sector. And then currently, I think the IPP framework that I talked about before, it's under review to also provide an opportunity for the private sector to participate in terms of financing the infrastructure like transmission lines, to also include even the transmission line across the border. We have already established contacts with one private sector who intends to develop. You see now, because we are surrounded by South Africa, we envisage that we could have even 4 interconnectors. And then some of them maybe let them be developed by the private sector. So in order to fulfill that aspiration of becoming a net exporter. But as well, I think there is also consideration towards reviewing the public-private partnership policy to give leverage to the private sector as well, and enhance that participation. For example, we recognize that when it comes to generation by hydro, to build a dam could be a very expensive project, but with the collaboration of government and private sector, probably there could be a sharing of some costs somewhere. Maybe government commits to develop a dam and then invite private sector to generate, something like that. So maybe those two could be key. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these ideas. I now turn to the audience. I hope you all prepared questions. Yeah, we have one here. We have a microphone going around, or a microphone going around? Okay, it's coming. So we have the.
Please raise your hand so I can see where you are. Cool, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Pietres Johannes. I'm from Namibia, from the Electricity Control Board. My question is directed to Leon, and I might have missed it in your intervention. I just wanted to find out, it appears South Africa is at advanced stage with the implementation of the Independent Transmission Company program. I just wanted to find out, is that informed by the recent amendment into your Electricity Act? Because the issue of transmission company, I think as Sadc members, we have always tried to open up generation, but I think there is a call to do likewise in the transmission sector. So I just wanted to understand what policy interventions support that program. Then my second question, you have alluded to South Africa having, I think if I can quote the word you have used, they have loosened the licensing process. Maybe if you can just share with the audience what were the improvements in terms of timeline. Thank you.
Can we maybe collect if there's another question? Please raise your hand. No further questions? Okay, then, Leonie, if you could please answer.
Thank you, Petrus. So, in the Electricity Regulation Act that was amended in 2024, that is where we actually also looked at the integrated or the independent transmission plan, so that it can be part of the whole group of also the SAWEM coming in, the South African wholesale market coming in, and also having the day, which is the day-ahead market, but also transmission development that is being part of the private sector. That can be, so Electricity Regulation Act, the amendment of 2024. So if you're going to look at that, that gets catered for it. So it's part in there. So, and the licensing process, if you look at licensing specifically, that can take up to 18 months plus. If you do go for generation specifically, you could do it in under 6 months. So that it's a huge gap in between, but also financially much less, and it's not as stringent when it comes to bylaws and laws that you need to actually comply by. So much shorter timelines when it comes to that. So now, initially when you were 10 megawatts or 100 megawatts, you had to do licensing. Now you do not have to do licensing at all, only generation. You can just apply for being a generator.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, the moderator and the panelists. I am Moses. I'm part of Sadc team co-organizing this event. I hear that most of your the panelists, they've been referring to the private sector as one of the area or avenue that has to be pursued. But we are all aware that energy, regardless of any form, still has a social element in terms of this supply, because of the expenses and the cost of supplying it. Then what level do the panel, anyone can refer to this, at what level do they think that the private sector should participate? There are other member states of SADC, such as Namibia, which already allowed that the private sector in the generation can come to a certain percentage. But from them, from their experience, maybe in particular from the IPP Office of Africa and the Zimbabwe Association. What level do they think that the private sector should be allowed while ensuring that the security of supply? Because private sector, they invest, they want to get their returns, while the government can invest and not necessarily expecting their returns. Thank you.
So yeah, the question of private sector and what do you do if there's not a business case in supplying energy? How do you tackle that problem? Maybe you can answer to that. Yeah.
It's a tricky question. If you have energy deficits, it's very difficult to prescribe how much private sector can go for. But equally as well, the limiting factor becomes the issue of availability of funding to be able then to carry out projects. So I think you have areas where you can say sometimes this development is meant for public funding. For example, in certain areas where the return is not adequate for a private sector player, then you need to have a subsidy or a combination, right, of funding to cushion an investment in that regard. So I think at this point in time, we need to address the access aspect, and whatever combination we can get from whatever source, I think is welcome. That's what I would say is my point.
Any further questions?
Just to compliment,
yeah,
Madam, reflecting case of Lesotho where the geographic situation, we have lowlands, we have highlands, and we have places very remote, far away from the grid, where we have no choice but to adapt to off-grid solutions. This is the area whereby then there is still government commitment in a way, and where there is private sector participation, the government is intending to also participate in a form of providing incentives. We haven't concluded what form of incentive, maybe lower taxes or even think of building the backbone infrastructure in those areas so that it could be cheaper for private sector to connect, and then that will result in low tariffs. That's what we speculate. Thank you.
Sorry, it's a quick question through our head of delegation from Tanzania. I would like to know the type of government guarantee from Zimbabwe or South Africa they are giving for IPP. What type of government guarantee they are giving? Thank you.
We have a product that has been developed with the help of, I think it's the African Development Bank, where there is a government implementation agreement which seeks to cushion, or rather, to give comfort to an investor that comes into the country. I think we have a couple of IPPs that have been signed on that. It has taken a while, but that's something that's being offered to IPPs in that regard, to make sure that at least the investor is guaranteed of his return, if, or rather, their money when they invest and they want to take it out, it's also, guaranteed. It's also through the central bank to make sure that, of course, they are able to get also the currency in that regard.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see no further question. Probably everyone is hungry. So please join me in a round of applause for the panel. I hope you are also getting some key takeaways from this panel. Some of the ideas that specifically, this is a Sadc meeting, can be addressed in the next days. How to ensure that the good policy frameworks are in place to enhance regional energy security. I think, thank you very much for that comment, Moses. We're talking a lot about private involvement, not only in this context, but also when it comes to other services. And of course, it cannot be left entirely to the private sector. The government needs to step in and make sure that we're not in a situation where we only have access to energy where it is profitable. And there are some mechanisms, you have alluded to that, subsidies, incentives, that, for example, Lesotho is thinking about to assure that really everyone, regardless of their income and their location, has access to energy. So thank you again very much. Thank you to the audience. And I think, I hand over to the moderator.
Anya, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Anya and the panel deserve a proper round of applause. It's not often that people finish in record time and give you an extra 10 minutes for lunch. So that's what we've got. Okay, so Anya, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of issues, a couple of announcements before we break for lunch. Once we're breaking for lunch, we will be back here for the next session at 2:30 Central African time. Speakers, you're invited to meet in the Kazuma room 15 minutes prior to the session for briefings. So if you are a speaker in the next session or the next session thereafter, please go to the Kazuma room 15 minutes prior to your session for a briefing with the moderator. And that's to ensure that, as Anya has done, for those of you that are moderating later, this is the perfect example of how to do your job. Thank you very much. Lunch is served. There are ushers at the door that will be giving you your lunch tickets. Confirming. Ushers at the back, do you have the lunch tickets, ma'am? Do we have the lunch tickets? Okay, we've got the lunch tickets. All right. We're going to break now for lunch, and we'll see you all in an hour and a bit. Good afternoon.